Hi everybody, this is Shiro from Guided Soul-ution. And on this episode of From the Heart, I want to talk about the divine design of relationships, which is also the title of a book I'm writing. But today, definitely on the topic of marriage and divorce. So, one of the greatest joy of what I do is to be able to assist people with relationships. And it's definitely one of the most powerful vehicle of purpose and joy of sharing and to experience connection. But the one that comes with the most challenge is marriage and divorce. It's, regarded as the pinnacle of the ultimate partnership and sort of the symbol of long-term relationship. And of course, it leads to building a family. But from a divine perspective, it's still a vehicle of a purpose, and it's a season in our life. Marriage as an institution, as a reminder, is that it's a man-made institution. It was established in 2350 BC, as they say, but regardless of when it was man-made. And the ancient times, it was often the means to create family alliances for strategic reasons, the spiritual purpose of different lineage combining is all just for other purposes that's beyond the institution itself. In other words, other than the celebration of union, the essence of marriage isn't spiritual, like the way the religions often represented, And especially now with the legal binding of till death do you part, right? It's absolutely unnatural to our being. Yes, even Kiki agrees. And yet we're conditioned to believe that it's some ultimate goal to strive for, and as if it brings like some kind of everlasting happiness, and it culminates life itself and some kind of a completion of a journey. And because there's this so much built toward it, right? Because the wedding industry, the propaganda of weddings and everything else, right? Everyone has this blown up image of what a marriage is going to be, but it's more of a wedding. And then now they have something they have to maintain, some kind of magic that they think that they have to maintain. And it's a cycle now, a motion of this misaligned misinterpretation going on. And it's definitely not at all some kind of a spiritual law. So I've seen, throughout my work, a lot of people toil, and of course in my life, people just struggling, for this goal, chasing it and dreaming and visualizing and constantly searching for the one. It is definitely one of the most topic that it comes up, in our sessions. And even if the bond lasts a lifetime, from a divine perspective, it's a season as equally important as a relationship that only lasts a month. Because like in my sessions, I've seen a 50-year marriage with nothing inside. I've literally been shown an image of a house with dust collecting all over the place, and the wood is rotting. The foundation is just like ready to crumble. But I've also seen a client who had a one-night stand that was so intense in its connection propelling one another to a profound path of their own, never to see each other again, but the memory of it lasts a lifetime. Not that I've, seen it through the end of their life, but that strong of an imprint. And especially when there's trouble in the marriage, I get couples that come in and they say, we're trying to make our marriage work. And I always say, that's already the problem, because trying in and of itself is already an indication that there's something unnatural. And I know that in this world, we place value on commitment and effort. But that's not how a connection works. Yes, I understand that sometimes not making it easy to simply break up or to run away can give an opportunity for a second look and revive something that was dying, sure. But requiring that as a formula to success is not necessarily spiritual. So I'm giving you the fundamental understanding of that, because when a troubled marriage occurs and they come to really talk about it, what I hear is that their interest oftentimes isn't even about healing the bond, which is where I bring the couple to focus on. But it often becomes more about the reputation and the wealth that they built together. It's about their family and friends and what they would say. And of course, it would be about the children. And the divine wisdom that comes through, it came through in some of the early sessions and now has become part of my wisdom to share, is that if you're not willing to talk about divorce as one potential means to heal the bond, then you're not really looking at the marriage in its entirety and honoring it for what it is. Because in the end, when we seek counsel about a troubled relationship, what is it that we're really wanting to heal? And that's the bond. It's not the other things. And though it is understandable, those external factors have to be removed to really be able to look at each other. And divorce is the best way to remove all external factors. And I'm talking about just talking about divorce. I'm not promoting divorce. Because we're conditioned to mourn endings, right? And so subconsciously, we try so hard to avoid that ending. And with that comes this forced effort to maintain the appearance of a marriage. And that only just adds to the burden and pressure. And it causes more resistance and friction with one another. And if we're not able to honor endings as we did the beginnings, then I would really question how the marriage itself is truly honored. I've had 2 marriages prior to my current one. And I really appreciate and honor every marriage because of the purpose that it served for where I was at and what I learned from it. And I know that it took something like a marriage for that relationship to come as close as it did, to have as intense of a friction that it did, to surface things that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to see for myself. And my previous marriage, though it ended, the relationship healed, and it's become even more deeper and stronger and unconditional in its love because the title of the marriage was removed. And don't get me wrong, marriage is a beautiful way to express a bond. But if there's any discrimination that other relationships is any less, by putting marriage on a pedestal and with it like shaming or considering divorce as a failure, then it's unnatural and it's utter misconception of what union is and what any relationship represents in its sanctity of it. But we deal with labels and categorization, and we compartmentalize. We are friends. We're dating, friends with benefits, or whatever it is. And we have this need to label. And with this label comes preconceived notion of what it's supposed to be within each label. But if there's any sense of lack because we're not married or paired with someone, I always say, you're not single, you're whole. And a best relationship, is two whole beings coming together, right? If there's any sense of lack, that we're not paired, and with that, like this need for marriage to be this ultimate goal, then you're already starting with a very misaligned intent. And that will ultimately perpetuate the lesson even after the marriage. And there will be great disappointments. Most people that I have counseled and talked to don't even really know what they want in a marriage. They don't even really know why they speak negative about marriage. Oh, because they saw that other people had bad marriages. That doesn't say anything about your value. You're literally dictating other people's experience as the conclusive experience of your own. And just because it's lasted a long time doesn't say anything about the substance of marriage itself, or how much if it's actually thriving. And if you're married to someone, to always be present enough to be mindful about the connection, exchange, synergy, and if it's thriving or not, right? Because even argument can be part of the thriving energy between the two. And so the quality of the friction is definitely, it needs to be discerned. Is it an argument because you both care, or is it an argument because you both don't care to see eye to eye or to honor or respect each other Because if you can't even respect each other, then what is the appearance of a marriage? You know? So a beautiful union is like one whole being coming to the table boldly with your light and shade. Here's my light, here's my shade. And for the other person, another whole person to go, ooh, you know, I love your light, I'm inspired by your light, and I learn from your shade. Here's my light and here's my shade. And to have that respect and honor of each other as a independent and whole individuals. And then having a sense of synergy and sharing and drawing from one another. It is true that the spiritual symbol of marriage is the combination or the union of the masculine and feminine, right? So there is a chemistry of bond, you know, because even in gay marriage, you will always see that one is a masculine energy and one is a feminine energy. The polarity connection, that's what marriage is, the essence of it, not anything other than that. And of course, if there is an offspring that comes forth from it, let that be the extension of that journey that you're sharing together, a representation of that joy, you know? And in that kind of environment is where even the child can feed off of and grow. It's not about how much you've sacrificed for the child. You know, I remember when my parents talked about divorce, they ultimately didn't, but you know, I don't necessarily know that if it would have been better or not if they did divorce. But when they talked about divorce to me, and they said, well, we didn't want to divorce until you were old enough. And my thought was, yeah, but you know, you've already subjected me to years of this empty connection and disrespect to each other, at least from my dad's end. I just wondered, you know, if you guys chose a path where you both found your individual happiness, I would have been inspired as a child. Now, if I was bitter that they didn't maintain the appearance of the marriage by not being together, what does that say about me? That all I care is about the appearance? That I don't necessarily care or respect their individual happiness and journey. So to use the children as the reason to not divorce isn't saying much either. I respect the responsibility. I respect that love and empathy and sometimes even sympathy for the child. And I know that many children struggle that their parents divorced. But is the struggle because they divorced, or it's because that in the world created a paradigm or narrative that divorce is bad and that they feel like they're not fitting into the group of what's considered normal? Is the heartbreak truly just from the divorce, or because we have a belief that divorce is just bad? And if you divorce, what's the reason for divorce? Because if it's just simply escape or avoiding something of your own inner work in which the marriage was helping to grow, sure, then think twice about divorce. And so there's no way to just say marriage is good or long-lasting marriage is good, divorce is bad. But what I really wanted to say today is that to help those that are putting marriage on a pedestal and they're going through relationships like, this isn't the one, this isn't the one. Will I ever meet the one? And I'm saying to them, every one that you dated is the one. The one that serves an important purpose. And if it is a long-lasting bond or sharing of a journey that you really want, then value each relationship. Don't judge it by how long it lasted or how short it was. Trust that that's taking you toward shaping you to be a person that can really attract and welcome a good bond to yourself. You can't blame the other person. One of the key elements that I write in my book, that I will repeat over and over again about relationship, is that it has nothing to do with the other person. Everything is always for you. Even if that person triggers you to no end, it's not that person that's causing that. That person is instrumental for that trigger. But what came out of that triggering effect, what came from within, was already there. It's your story that this person is helping to bring to your awareness. So you go, oh wow, I'm triggered by that behavior, or I'm triggered by that comment. I appreciate that you are bringing this to my attention. This is my story that's perpetuating. But see, people cannot seem to stop blaming the person. Oh, the guy was a flake. I deserve better. Well, how did you feel when you broke up with that person? Why is there a pattern in your life about that kind of relationship? And with that, they come to me with this negative narrative about men or women even. But yet, isn't it your belief? The thing, whatever in your early point of your life that set it back in motion, because it's usually something you brought with you. Your belief that men are this way or that way, isn't that what began to be the point of your attraction? And so I want you guys to really consider marriage as a vehicle, as being born into a family is a vehicle of purpose. Blood connection, lineage, does not dictate the true essence of what family really is. It would be ideal, sure, but it isn't always that. Because in divine perspective, everything in this human experience is a vehicle to serve a purpose. for you and you only. And if you have a relationship with someone, that it's doing that to each other, meaning that my relationship with you is serving a purpose for me, and I am serving a purpose for you. And the moment we start to own our experience from that relationship for our own story and journey, the more we will respect the other person and honor their journey, their story. And it's not going to be about how we fight about what we expect from each other. Because the moment you place an expectation on someone's life, you are already binding someone and violating their free will in one way or another. I apologize for getting a little long-winded, but I really wanted to at least say to you that marriage is not the thing to strive for. And if you are in a marriage and you're having troubles, don't be afraid to talk about divorce, because when you really look at the ending and be willing to honor the ending, it may be the very thing that could revive and renew a bond too, because it's a state of detachment. So if you're in a troubled marriage, the objective is not to fix the marriage. It's to heal the bond and an opportunity to look at yourself. That is, I think, what I really wanted to say in this episode. I hope this added value to you. If you guys are interested in a personal session with me, or if you're a couple and you'd like to come in and really understand your divine design of the bond that you guys have, what kind of contract, soul contract you guys have with one another, and what kind of purpose are you meant to serve for each other, please contact me and let's connect. But I really appreciate you guys spending time with me as always. Please subscribe if you guys want to see more of this. I really appreciate you liking and commenting on the videos. I know it's a part of the algorithm, but I would love for more people to be able to have access to this kind of message. But until the next time, this has been a message from the heart. Thank you.